Do do do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Spiritual sex and candy, yeah.
Hey, all you sensual souls. That's how that just
Sentry.
for the whole thing. Welcome to Spiritual Sex and Candy. I am Heather, your Shamanic Sweetener. And of course, we have my illustrious co-host, JP Adkins, our Freedom Jedi. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Heather. It is so nice to see you.
Oh, it's so nice to be seen today, I guess.
You know what? Fuck this shit. We're gonna have fun. Do the spiel because I'm ready to class already.
This is episode 27. Peace in the storm, navigating life's turbulent waters. Here's your trigger warning. We are a trigger in and of ourselves right now. We're going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about drugs. We're going to talk about all the in-betweens of that. We're going to talk about life in general. We talk about all the subjects that trigger people. And so if you are easily triggered or offended, here is your time to exit the podcast right now. We love and appreciate you, but see yourself out stage left. Oh, hi, Jeff.
Hi, Heather. We got this. We got this.
We do got it. I'm having a rough week, you guys. I'm having a rough week. I just want to cry. It's just a week. This week is my mom's birthday. She's been gone for 25 years. She would have been 59. No, 69. 69. Wow, I'm making her wait. She would have been 69 this year. And for some reason, most years, I think it's because usually I'm fairly busy and I'm getting ready for the holiday or the energetic aftermath of the holiday. Because her birthday always falls around this time in some way. And this year, it's just like, I'm not with my family. I'm in Florida. I mean, I'm with dear, dear friends, and I love my friend to death. But like on that day, her birthday falls on Thanksgiving. And like, we're not cooking this year. We're ordering in, which is like sacrilegious in my family. And it just like, I just am in a funk. And it's okay to be in a funk. Like, so everyone's like, oh, well, you should do this or you should do that or celebrate her or, I'm going to honor her. I'm going to watch Christmas movies and probably crochet all day and be fucking sad. That's what I'm, like, I don't like myself the past couple days. I literally put a meme out yesterday that said, I should probably stay to myself today because I'm in pure snatch mode. Because, like, I, for a good majority of the day, just wanted to rip everyone's head off. At least I recognize it, and I keep to myself when I am like this. And then right before we got on here, my friend was like, she wouldn't want you to be sad for her. And like, not that my mom wanted wailing or anything like that, but my mom was definitely like an honor, right? Is an honor your feelings. She was always an honor your feelings type of person. She never told us not to feel our feels. She never, that wasn't who she was. Now my dad, on the other hand, he might be like, no, he wouldn't. I lied. He would.
He might be suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah, even that, I don't think he would because, like, when my mom passed, she passed in the middle of the night. We weren't at the hospital with her because that's who she was, right? Like, she waited for everyone to go home and, and stuff. And I remember, like, instantly feeling like I needed to take care of people. Like, oh, we need to make phone calls and my dad's like, it's 3 a.m. We don't need to do anything. No, we do not need to. I'm like, let's take care of business, And then I went in my room and I crawled in bed and I started to cry because, like, and then and I'm going to cry talking about it. And he came in and laid with me and he said, "You don't have to cry by yourself." So my parents were definitely like, feel the feels. And right now, my feelings fucking suck. They just fucking suck right now.
I there's human experience. The problem is with human experience is that we want to hold on to those happy feelings, and we think that those are the only ones that we should feel,
Right.
right? And really, what it is that we have to love the sad feelings too. Love the sad parts and love the nasty parts, and
Yeah.
that's all part of that. And
Yes.
you know, as long as we don't go and wallow in it for years and years on end, and you're healthy and you go through, and then you can deal. If you need help, you always have it, and sometimes you do need that space to just be.
I spent so many years masking and not allowing myself to have the emotions that I wanted to have. Um, that I just don't have it in me anymore to do that. Like Jeff goes, "Okay, put your mask on. You get to mask today." And I was like, no, I'm not masking today. I'm going to cry. I'm going to boob. I'm going to have all the feelings and the rage and, all the things that go with the grieving process, because the grieving process never ends. We feel like it's this like time frame of, oh, it's been 3 months. I should just fucking get my shit together. And I mean, and there is now to a degree, you still have to function in some way. So like, I don't mean it like that, but like 25 years later, and there's still something all the time that I want to talk to my mom about.
Hmm. Oh no, and I don't. It's one of the things I really love about Jewish culture. I like Shiva. I
Yeah,
think it.
sitting Shiva. Yeah.
I think that is the most brilliant thing that anyone's ever said in the world. You
Yeah.
go and you sit Shiva 7 days. And by the end of the 7 days, you're pretty cried out. It's because you're cried out. You
Yeah.
you you can't function in the space anymore. And it's not that you're not going to have your tears. It's not you're not going to have your moments, but you can go back and function again. You can go back to
Right.
the function, and you're not going to break down like into the mass sobs typically.
Right.
You're it's a much more um, I think it's a very healthy thing, and I don't think that anywhere else in culture do we have that like
I don't
really
know. That would be an
defined.
interesting thing to. I believe Polynesians have something similar to that when someone passes, of
Mhm.
where you feast and honor them and stuff. Yeah, I don't think we allow ourselves in the moment to feel that way. I mean, even when my dad died, I don't want to say I wasn't allowed, but like there wasn't a space during that time for me to feel my emotions,
Mhm.
because my daughter just lost her only father figure as well. And she was 13, and so there's a part of that is like, you know, she lost her dad too. It was the only real consistent male figure in her life. And
Mhm.
that didn't leave me much room to be able to have my emotions about the situation. So I drank them,
Mhm.
right? Like, I don't have time to feel them, so I'm going to drink them. And I remember people going, "You're so strong," which is why I hate that, by the way. Like, people don't know, like, the past couple days, I'm like, I'm just not okay. I'm not okay.
Hmm.
It does not mean I'm going to do anything. It does not, I've never once in my life wanted to self harm. That's just not who I am. I have empathy for anyone who gets to that point where they feel like that's their option. I truly do. But I don't understand the concept of doing that. It's just never been, how I coped with things. Um, but people don't know how to deal when I'm not okay.
Hmm. I can attest to that.
Yeah. Today
I
you
don't
were like, "What kind of space can I hold for you?" And I'm like, "None. Leave me the
none.
fuck alone."
Right. Leave me the fuck alone. Then I'm like, and then of course I make a joke of it because that's what I do to deflect all the, you know, anything. So of course I
Yeah.
said independent woman, like, an
Right.
asshole. I knew I was being an asshole in that moment. It was okay. Then she
Yeah.
could get pissed. And piss is better than depression.
I guess.
It
I
is.
mean,
It's
I
a
don't
nice
know that
let.
I would really say I'm depressed. I just think that when those feelings come up now,
Mhm.
instead of telling myself, celebrate her,
Oh God.
find it good, remember the happy memories, right? Because that's what I got.
Hmm.
That was literally what I just got before the podcast started. Was, well, you need to remember all the happy memories of her.
Hmm. I do
You
that.
don't think I don't fucking
Right.
do that all the fucking time?
Right.
All the fucking time, that's what I want to think about. Because I sure as fuck do not want to think about bathing my mother and changing her and helping her to learn to walk again. Those are the things that I think about.
Hmm.
Those are also beautiful moments with my mother that I got to spend with her that I wouldn't change for anything.
Hmm.
But my memories with my mom are much, much different than the average person. Do you want to know what I would love to do with my mom right now? It would be sitting down and crafting with her and smoking a fucking joint. That's what I would love to do with my mom right now.
Right.
And I can't even do that in honor of her at the moment.
You're the one that moved to a godforsaken state that hasn't legalized it yet.
I know. I know.
It was the trade offs. You get a bedroom, you don't get weed anymore. You know.
Yay.
Oh,
That'll be changing in a couple months.
you know, it all works. I'm yeah, I'm in prep mode. I'm in prep mode. I leave next week, so trying to get everything situated so that I'm capable and safe and ready. And I'm not. I don't know if there is a ready at this point. Like in all these
I,
journeys.
I was going to say, I don't know that anyone's ever truly fully ready.
Mhm.
I think that's a myth that we try to tell ourselves
You know,
is, I'm going to be totally prepared for this, and I was packing the day I was leaving and freaking out that nothing fit and I should have just bought the extra bag.
I so I went to go in because we finally had a nice day. It was sunny. I remembered that I can actually control weather, and I said it was going to be sunny today, yesterday, and it was. Although the weatherman did not say it was going to be sunny today, so just a reminder. Um, so I was up on a ladder trying to get where I hit the tree, all the uh, styrofoam, because I did stray foam to fill out in the gap, and it like oozed out, and it's like a busted can of biscuits.
Right.
So was trying to get that to kind of smooth over, so I have fiberglass I could put over it, but it has to be smooth in order to do that. And what I was doing wasn't working, and I was like, "Fuck it, it's ugly. It's a big old thing, and it's gonna just be where it is." And but I did get my shelves cut. I did get my nephew did work on my uh, generator, it's still not working, but now I know what it is, and I could probably fix that. It's right up front, and I'll figure out the right wiring because he didn't put the wires back on right. That's what it is. I'm, you know, I could do electrical work pretty well, actually, but don't tell anybody. And yeah, just things are. My wall is staying up. My closet wall that kept falling. I figured out a way to keep it up, and things are moving. It's just not moving. I didn't get some other things done, like my water supply, and the water heater I bought does not work correctly. So there's a whole thing there, and yeah, so that's beautiful and lovely and freaking me out a little bit because the idea of not having hot water really does not appeal to me at this point.
Right. Well, and so how do we stay peaceful in all of this, right? We have all these turbulent waters going around, and everyone has things going on, and sometimes we just have to stop. So I just want to say, sometimes you just have to stop and honor how you feel. So like,
Yeah.
I was super productive today,
Mm-hmm.
even though I felt like shit. I ran the dishwasher, I did a couple loads of laundry, I even folded and put the laundry away. I know, everyone, take a deep breath. I know.
On the same day?
Yeah.
You
Huh?
are a witch.
I am a witch. My bed is made, though I make my bed every day. You know, but I think part of finding some peace in all of that is just allowing yourself to feel the feelings that you have in the moment
Mm-hmm.
and
And your
honoring how
feelings,
you feel instead of pushing through them.
right? But honoring your feelings doesn't necessarily, like you did, honoring your feelings doesn't mean to necessarily sit down and mope and fall apart. Some One of the things that I learned is that you can cry and work at the same time,
Yeah.
and it's it sometimes that sucks, and but that's sometimes what you have to do.
Yeah.
Um, and when you hear that, it sounds really cruel. Like, it really does sound cruel. Like, you can cry and
Yeah.
work at the same time. Yeah, I can cry and wash the dishes. I can. I promise you. The dishes will work, and I could cry, and I'll deal with whatever I'm dealing with that could process that emotion. That doesn't mean my life stops,
Right.
and that's the difference. Know when is the right time to allow yourself the emotion and let it flow through you, and when it is time to actually get your life together and actually. It sounds so wrong, but it's like when it's time that you can actually be productive. You don't necessarily have to fall apart to deal with emotion.
Yes, that is very true. Yeah, sometimes we think like we're talking about grief right now because I'm having a moment of grief. Um, yeah, I mean, there is a point where you have bereavement period, and then you have to go back to work and function. And like after my mom passed away, not only did I have to just go back to work, by the way, I had to go back to work in her oncology office.
Yeah.
So I worked for her oncologists. I worked every day with cancer patients. And it wasn't too long after that I had to leave that field because I got to the point where I was like, if one more person comes in and tells me they're sick, I'm going to fucking lose it. Like, um, that sort of thing. Um, but then I knew I didn't know my limit. I didn't. They fired me because I was just a robot at that point. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was not who I was before. Um, because I didn't allow myself to honor any of those things or take real time because then I started to worry about my dad,
Yeah.
right? That's part of my neurospiciness, and it's part of just losing a parent and having another parent who now is free,
Mm-hmm.
which he had grieved my mom a long time ago, and I didn't understand that. And so, when she passed, he was like, I can have a life and go do what I need to do. And I was like, I want to bubble wrap you. And my dad was a 6'4" biker. Like that wasn't happening anytime soon. You know what I mean?
It's really difficult because right now, as Heather knows, I deal with both my parents have been sick. Um, my dad has basically been hospice for 3 years now. Um, and he was in the hospital last week. And when he got out of the hospital, he's not the same. Like, there's a marked difference. And so it has me, I'm leaving in a week, less than a week. And now it has me going, well, do I do my plans? Do I do what I was going to do? And I had contingency plans, but he was holding steady.
Right.
And yes, now it's not looking like he's holding as steady as he was. And he could live for another 5 fucking years. Who knows? Right?
Your dad and the cockroaches.
Right. It's Dad sharing the cockroaches. I mean, if Cher dies, then I'm going to worry. The day Cher dies is the day that I will go, fuck. Here comes Dad. Right?
Right.
Probably. Honestly, I would probably turn around and come home. So, but I've done a lot of that grief because it's been so long. And I've told them both, and I reiterated to my siblings in this past week. I'm like, I'm not coming home for the rush home for a hospital visit. I don't have to do that. I could do a phone call or a FaceTime or something if need be, but we are pretty complete with what we had to say to each other. We're not in that space. And I'm going to grieve, and I'm not saying that I'm not going to be upset, and I'm not going to grieve, I'm not going to freak out, I'm not going to do all that stuff. I just don't have to rush back here to do it.
Yeah.
And I'll be here for
And would you really be able to do it if you rushed back there?
Right. No, because then I'd be driving. And I'd be going crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
and not only that, but then once you got there, now you have to deal with your family and all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so, that's another part of it is that is one thing that when my fiance passed, I was able to just go home and grieve. Like, I was able to go home. I mean, I went back to work. I did some fucked up shit. I had the best boss in the whole world because I totally should have been fucking fired for some of the things that happened during that time frame. But I had really good administration, because I wasn't putting anyone in danger or anything like that. But I mean, I just did some, a few things in that grief. But I also would get off of work and go home and drink Jameson straight out of the bottle and get super fucking high. And I was on Xanax and all kinds of things. And then a very good friend of mine said to me, I'm really, really worried about you. I've never seen you like this. And it was probably a couple months. I mean, it was a pretty decent amount of time. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I need to.
Oh, that's right. I have a life outside of the grief.
Yeah. I guess I need to, come back to civilization a little bit, you know. But then part of that too is that I still have issues getting in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like sleeping next to anyone. When you wake up with someone dead in bed with you, I promise you it will affect
Going to sleep.
not wanting to sleep next to someone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny though. Like, I've had 2 really good friends go through that. One of the people I
And
grew
that's
up
not
with.
like a normal thing.
No, so it's kind of fun. Like, it's an odd occurrence that 2 of my really good friends.
Yeah.
One I grew up with since I was like 4, and her first real boyfriend, like adult boyfriend,
Yeah.
died in her bed, and then you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things to do is to notice, we're going into the holiday season,
Yeah.
and so there you could be in all kinds of different places, right? Like Heather's in the I'm not gonna be around family. We're gonna do something completely different. I'm kind of thrown off, and it's the anniversary. It's my mom's birthday, so I'm already in a thrown off space, anyways. And then I'm really thrown off because where the fuck am I, right?
Yeah, and I keep thinking about like that. How am I going to keep myself busy that day?
Yeah.
Because normally I would be, you know, either I would be cooking and doing a bunch of stuff if it was actually on the day. If it wasn't on the day, then I could go and distract myself in some way, right? I could go do something, I could make plans, I could, and then maybe make something for dinner that she would have liked or,
Hmm.
that sort of thing. And that's just not an option.
You can bake
I could
cookies.
bake. I could bake. I thought it's funny that you say that because I was actually thinking about that. I'm like, I'm gonna get up and watch the Macy's Day Parade because that's what we always did.
Hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, I was like, what could I do to kind of honor her? She was not the best cook. My dad was really the cook, but she was not a bad baker.
Yeah, I'm a better cook than a baker. Although I had a recipe which I wish I could find. I think I shared it at one point. It was like somewhere, but it's uh, dark chocolate macadamia nut banana bread.
Oh, that sounds heavenly.
It really was amazing, and it's one of the recipes that I need to. Like, I don't know if I adapted it something or if I did it, and I'm kind of afraid because it's baking. So, you know what I mean? It's like I don't bake anyways anymore.
I'm pretty good at like breads and things like that. My sister is the one that like she makes the pie
Mhm.
and what we call pie crust cookies. Um, that were my dad's favorite, and we fight over them now. Um,
I like
yeah.
rum balls. I like the little round snowball with rum in them.
Oh yeah, like a Russian tea cake almost
Yeah, those are my
with rum in it.
those are my favorite Christmas, particularly Christmas cookie. You know,
Right.
you don't make those in December or in August for some reason. You just make them then.
Yeah.
But there's a few things you gotta do. You gotta stop and notice that you're not your thoughts.
Yeah.
Just stop. I'm not my thoughts. Okay,
I
I'm
have
not.
thoughts, but I am not my thoughts.
I'm not my thoughts. And this includes if you're at your family's, and you know you are having a political conversation, or you have a friend that says that you should be celebrating, and just stop. You're not your thoughts. They're not their thoughts. They don't know what the fuck they're thinking. Okay, cool.
And I have to stop myself from saying things like, you didn't know my mom. You don't know what the
Right.
fuck she would, want. I did say, no, that's not.
Yeah.
I mean, not that she would want me sitting here blubbering and all like, no, she would not want that. No one's parents want that. Well, maybe Jeff's.
My mom will. I'm working on my black woman wail for her funeral. I'm gonna have to fall on a casket. I have to really work on this.
You have
So
to have the black veil over your face.
I might have to do the whole thing. So you might want to see this
Falling in
one,
the casket with her.
right?
Don't go.
Don't go. You know, my my siblings would get it. I should do it just because. Um,
Yeah.
my siblings would totally get a kick out of it. Uh, but then you have to drop. You have to drop the need to be right or understand. Like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna, you're never gonna convince somebody else anything. So fuck you. You just gotta drop it
Well, that's why I was just like, she goes, do you have plans? And I go, I have plans to do this podcast in a few.
Right. That's the plan for today. That's
And
all the plan.
I'm going to talk to you later. Right. And I just like ended the conversation.
Right.
Like,
Just drop it. Drop
right.
the need to be right. You don't have to understand it. You're not going to get anything past them. You're going, the conversation's going to go the way conversation's going to go. And then you got to love. You got to remember that you love these people for whatever freaking way, right? And you got to ask yourself how to be more loving in this moment.
Also love yourself through the
Exactly.
moment. Like, that's why I'm not being hard on myself. That's why I'm kind of laughing about it in this moment. And people are like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm having a rough week. And my son said something so beautiful to me because he was like, it's okay. Like, he goes, it's okay. And I said, well, it's my mom's birthday on Thursday. And he said, even if it wasn't, Mom, it's okay to have a rough week.
Mm-hmm.
And to hear my 24-year-old son give me permission to just not be okay felt really good, to be honest.
Yeah.
That he was like, it's okay for you to have a rough week. Like, and to be kind to yourself through that.
Yeah. And along with that is that be kind to yourself. You don't have to be there.
Yeah.
You can hang up the phone. You can leave.
Yeah, if you also make sure that you set aside time for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that is super important going into the holidays, is making sure that, especially this week with, everyone always talks about Thanksgiving drama and getting everyone in the house that's watching football and drinking and, extracurricular activities and whatever else is going on in that. I mean, everyone Thanksgiving's different. We're all inclusive here, right? You never know what's going down or what's partying at the house. Is to, if you know that your family is really overwhelming and you get overwhelmed, to carve some time out. It's okay to just walk out of the event and go sit in your car for a few minutes. Go for a little drivey drive.
Yeah.
Or just leave.
Or just leave.
I mean, if it's too bad, just leave. Unless it's even if it's your house. Get in the car and go someplace for a while, and just be.
There's been holidays. I have a huge family, guys. There's 32 of us in my immediate family. Just if my siblings and my nieces and nephews and their significant others and their kids all show up, just them with my parents, it's 32. So,
right.
And we get a variation of aunts, uncles, and everything else. For a long time we rented halls because it was just easier.
Yeah, because no one's house could hold all those people.
Really,
Yeah.
So there's been times when I've literally said, you know what, we're going to eat and go. Or we're going to grab a plate. Like, we're not even going to stay for,
Yeah.
Typically I grab a plate because there's so much freaking food. The joy of having that many people is that we have to cook for that many people.
Yeah.
And all those people get leftovers. So, yeah. And
it's easy to get lost in the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to stay for too long. So that's one thing I love about going to my sister's house, is that there's kind of like a time limit on that, where it's like, okay, we're getting together at this time. It's usually around whatever shift her roommate is working, or everyone, what everyone's doing that day. But then after a couple hours, because she's like, be here at this time. And when my sister says we're eating at 2:00, the food is going to be ready at 2:00. You don't, or within 15-20 minutes of that. You know what I mean? So with that being said, like, after about 2 hours max, her and her roommates are like, I mean, they don't say that, but you could tell the energy is like, okay, we have entertained long enough. Now get the fuck out of our house. And, it's time for you to go type of thing. Which always really works out for me because then one of my closest, bestest friends that I've been friends with for years, they go all out for Thanksgiving. They have a big, huge house. If you follow me on my social medias, you have seen their house before in pictures. And there's always tables set up everywhere in their house. There's 2 rooms worth of food because it usually goes into the other,
Mm-hmm.
space. And so I would go to my sister's and then I'm like, okay, well, I need to be at so and so's at this time for dessert. And so that kind of helps my sister out to get everyone out of the house. And then I would drop my roommates off and go and get really stoned and eat again.
There you go. I when Eddie and I were together, his family, he has a small family,
Yeah.
and they're all older. They're like a generation up. So it was beautiful. There was one kid who was creepy, quiet. He when he comes and takes over the world, I'm just gonna go, oh okay, I solved. I pegged this when you were like 10. The kid is just
Because
super
he was plotting
intelligent.
everyone's demise.
Basically, like, he's 10 years old, perfectly silent at a dinner. There's beverages. It was brunch, um, and that's when I learned it was cheesy potatoes. I'd never had my family doesn't do cheesy potatoes. I never knew what the fuck they were until I was at his family, and I'm like, oh, this is why Michigan is cheesy potato land. Like, this is it. I might actually have to make some now, because my family doesn't do it, and she would make me an extra whole pan to take home with me.
Because she knew they were your favorite.
They were my favorite. Me and her daughter both got a pan of cheesy
That's
potatoes.
beautiful.
Yeah. Um, his family liked me more than her. So,
What is there not to love?
exactly. We had, but it was beautiful. It was this nice adult, mature brunch, and that was fun and jovial, and like, still a little bit of ribbing back and forth between the siblings, and just a little bit, and
Yeah,
then we'd go to my family, which was
you're
raucous.
just chaos.
Yeah, it was like, be be happy you got a plate, like, you got a spot. Okay, cool. Do you get a
I
seat?
think, yeah, so I think that I kind of like the chaos because it allows me to get lost in the shuffle of not, like, I don't want to say it's easier to mask
Yeah. Um.
or not. I could go sit in the corner. Like, so I used to, when I would go to those things, I would be kind of in the middle of everything and and now I go and I find a place in the corner, and then people just come by and talk to me and sit, and we have really nice conversations, and then they rotate out, and I don't have to like be in the midst of things.
Mhm.
And so I get to just kind of meld into, you know.
You become the wise sage over in the corner.
Yeah.
Like, they have to go to your cave.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and at my friend's house, it's perfect because she has a table that's like in the back corner, and so like
Mhm.
I usually sit in that back little corner area, and then inevitably people will come and sit and talk to me, and if they don't, I don't give two fucks,
Right.
you
It
know.
was. It's been kind of interesting though, because the last couple of days I've been at my sister's. My nephew, like I said, has been working on my generator, and today I went because I gave him more money because he had to basically almost redo everything he did yesterday. I'm like, you know what? Let me pick you up a little bit of money. I didn't pay you enough. I was getting a deal. Um, and so I went back over, and when I forgot, I didn't grab it on my way over there because I was planning on taking him to lunch, and I was gonna grab it when we went to lunch, and then his friend came over, and he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go out with my friend, just bring it back." And so I brought it back, and my other nephew was there, and I was like, and I haven't talked to him one on one in a long time. And it was just a really nice little moment of getting to see him. You know, I like everyone pretty much in my family. I don't always, you know, I always love everyone in my family. I don't always like everyone in my family, but it's kind of nice to get to talk to some of them. He's almost 30 now. He was reminding me that he's almost 30. I'm like, shh, no, no, you're not. Because the one that was working on my generator is turning 16. I gave him the money to get his tags. That's basically what I did. And I'm like, this is fucking crazy. They're all growing up.
How do they keep aging? I know one of my nephews, because I'm really close with my daughter's dad's side of the family, which is really big. And his sister's son just turned 18, like within the past day or so. And I was like, and her other one just like a week ago turned 20. And I go, how do they keep getting older and we don't? You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
I'm not getting older.
we're not, that's what I said. Like, how is it that they are getting older and we are not getting older? Because
You know, it's really weird as a gay man. Honestly, I don't have reference, so I'll see a sibling, I'll see a milestone, even Madison. You know,
yeah.
like she's working on getting her first real job, and so we had a conversation. She's going to the doctors for the I'm not gonna say that conversation. That's a private one. But just dealing with some of the things with her
Yeah.
is like, wow, like.
I know. I'm like, my kid is 24. My, two of my kids are 24, and I'm like, oh, I was just 24. I was just 24 having a baby. Like, what do you mean? How are you 24? I was just 24 having you.
Yeah. But one of the things that was really kind of cool being there, my sister adopted the kid that I almost adopted.
Right.
Like, I came very, very close. There was a real life decision that happened.
Yeah.
And it was a one way or the other way. And it was right before I moved to the RV. So now it's I get a boyfriend right before I leave every time.
Right.
But
instead of a kid.
instead of a kid, I came this close to getting a kid the very first time. And he was there, and he was stimming. He was rocking back and forth, and I know what that is, right? And so I'm like, stop, breathe, notice. And because he was like heavy stimming on this couch, I'm like, breathe. And he's like, he's 5, but I really lucked out.
You're so funny.
I really lucked out. I don't know if I could handle a kid that was that hyper. And he might not have been that hyper if he was with me, because I'm much more mellow. My household would be more mellow.
Right. Yeah, you never know. Nurture over nature. Yeah.
Nurture over nature. But he was like heavy stem. And I'm like, ooh, no, you have to sit down.
He also had other factors
Oh, yeah. He was a crack baby. He
play into that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure he's neurospicy for sure.
I'm positive.
I think that comes along with that situation,
Yeah. The situation he's
being
in.
an addicted baby for sure.
And he was so sweet as a baby, though. Like, he was the sweetest kid. He's the only one I ever wanted. Like, really wanted. I really thought about it. And like I said, I have like 20 some odd nieces and nephews. So, that's the only one I ever wanted. My sister's oldest, I took care of a lot because I was home right at that time, and she finished school. She had her at 17, and she was finishing her senior year. And so a lot of times if she woke up in the middle of the night, she came and brought her down to me because I was the only one to get her back to bed. And that was really nice. So I have a connection with her also.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm the only one that had, it's just my sister and I had one kid biologically.
Yeah.
And that makes it real small.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was one of two siblings. He had a half brother, but his half brother was never around. I know more about him now after my dad passed away than I ever did when my dad was alive. And he lived 4 hours from us. Like we lived 4 hours apart from each other.
Wow.
And then my mom had three siblings, and one passed away before she did. So I have one uncle and one aunt from both parents. And my grandfather just passed away right before I moved here
Yeah.
on my mom's side. I mean, he was 95. There's no, like,
Right.
hard for me to grieve that. I mean, it's sad that he's not there, and I'm more sad for my uncle. That's another thing that we don't talk about a whole lot is, I have so much empathy for my uncle because I've been in that situation before,
Yeah.
than I do the actual passing of my grandfather. But I think that's the way we were raised. Like I was raised, my mom worked in a mortuary for like 8 years when I was growing up, and so we were very well versed in death and what happened, and it was talked about and explained to us from a very young age, and it was not a hush hush type of
Right.
thing in our house. And so I'm like, my grandpa lived to be 95. There's no sadness around that. Like, and he
Yeah.
lived in his own house until he was like died. Like he never had to leave his house.
Right. It's there's different ways, and one of the great things about Jediism, as opposed to Christianity or any of the Abrahamic faiths, is that it's more Eastern in its
Yeah.
philosophy. So you don't die; you just go back to whatever, to
Well, yeah, you just
source,
go back to energy.
right? And then you come back. And you can do
Right.
whatever.
If you
Well,
choose.
if you choose.
Yeah.
I believe Earth is a fucking playground, and there has been so many things that tells me the next time I'm just gonna come back as a tree.
Earth is yeah, I mean, I believe Earth is a school. We come here to learn lessons. I had an old friend that I grew up with. We were chatting last this last week, and she says, "Well, I haven't had an easy life."
You
And
didn't
I
choose it.
said, "Life was not meant to be easy. We are here to learn lessons and learn how to navigate the situations differently the next time around." Meaning, when they come back up in your life, we now cope with things differently. When you learn the lesson, then you just have a different set of coping skills.
Mm-hmm.
Life is never, even for people, if you think that rich people have an easy life, that's not fucking true either. So there's that part, right? But we have this idea that, like, when you're rich, it's easy. No, it's not. They work really hard for that money. And even if you inherit it, you're
You
you
work really
sacrificed
hard.
a lot in your life in some way to inherit that money, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. So, but I said to her, I go, no, life is not supposed to be easy. That's not why we came here. You did not incarnate to have an easy life. There are
Can I
some people
next
that
time?
skate through life in the sense of that they're really here to have what they call a rest life. Um, so, in the sense of, um, they're not really going to evolve a whole lot. They're not going to learn a lot of lessons, though they might be put in those situations. And I know people like this where they just kind of, okay, I had a friend once that said, I grew up poor and I'm okay with being poor,
Mm-hmm.
which I still will never understand that. But I don't need to. It's
Right.
not my life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to understand that. It blows my mind to hear someone say that. But she is just perfectly content to just kind of, she's learning some lessons, and she's evolving in some. She has healed some and grown in some aspects of her life, but she's like not making leaps and bounds of, you know, prolific healing or, anything like that. But no one had an easy life. No one has an easy life.
Nope. And even if you we were talking about this. Me and my sister were talking about this the other day. You know, even if you have the perfect childhood,
Right.
you still, you know, your childhood, your curse could be that your sister got an iPhone before you did, was allowed to have a phone before you did, and that could be that thing. I'll never forget. I was in sixth fucking grade, and to this day, Becky Swanson asked me. We had a teacher in service day, so we had a day off, and the the skating rink, always did a lock-in for it, so that parents could drop their kids off, and it was a
And it
good
was like an all-day skate thing.
all day skate thing. You couldn't leave, you couldn't do anything. It was a lock in. Your parents had to pick you up. The whole thing. And Becky Swanson asked me to go. And Becky Swanson was the most beautiful girl in the school. I think she was either homecoming queen or prom queen. She was on court for both. She was popular. We grew up together. She was pretty. I can tell you that what she did in that year in the talent shows, they did Wilson Phillips Hold On with.
That's fantastic.
I am literally 40 years older than that, right? Somewhere in that range. 35 years older than that. And I can tell you that moment is still a scar for me. And no matter how much work I do on,
Because you didn't get to go to the skating.
I didn't get to go to Skateland. My parents probably didn't have the money that week. I couldn't go, or they didn't want to drive me, or whatever fucking reason they had. They were adults. I didn't know I was in sixth grade, and and it was like $25. So I can imagine, and they had 6 kids. So if I went, then my little brother would have had to go. They couldn't say no to him. And so maybe they didn't have $50 or $75 because my next one up would have to go too.
Right.
So who knows? Who the fuck knows?
Things that stick with you, right?
Things that stick with you. That could be, if that was the worst thing that ever happened to me,
right.
Great, but that would have been a scar. And that has been a scar for me. I joke that that's the reason I'm gay.
And don't compare your scars with other people's scars. No. And that's what I think I have the most, the hardest time with is that. I try not to tell people. I tell people I understand in the sense of, and I always say, I understand I've lost my mom. Mm-hmm. I never tell people I know how you're feeling. I never, or I try very hard to not say those types of things. Because I don't know. I'm not you. I'm not, I don't process the way that you process. You don't process the way I process. I promise you that. But through this process, you guys, find a little peace for yourself. Take some time before you go to the event. Carve out some time, no matter how busy you think your day is. You have 5 to 10 minutes to just take some time for yourself. And recenter yourself, show yourself some love and kindness, and then make sure at the end of the day that you do that same thing.
Yeah.
And in between there if you need to.
One of the things I told one of my clients is going into a situation. She's a lesbian. Her and her partner, who the family is welcoming and loving and kind of like mine, but her mom voted for a candidate that she would not do. I'm not gonna name names because I don't even want it on my algorithm. And she's trying to figure out, which shocked the hell out of me because I know her mother,
right?
And someone that you wouldn't expect, oh, okay. And I've talked about this before, about how I can understand somewhat of where the mindset is, of some of the people. I can,
right.
But not really, because at the end of the day, there's so many other reasons why I would not have. But she was like, I don't know how I'm going to react. And one of the things I said is, in the moment, if you feel your blood pressure going up, if you feel yourself in that spot, stop, drop, and love, of course, and then notice which nostril you're breathing out of. Okay, it's a tantric technique. And depending on which nostril is which energy you're dealing with. Okay, and if you're on your right side, you're dealing with more masculine energy, more assertive energy, more active energy.
Right.
If you're on your left side, you're in the more passive energy. It's the moon. It's more feminine. It's more caring. And if you're in the center, it's more spiritual energy. So just notice. And number one, it makes you notice your breath. And then you're like, you can kind of go back to your breath. And number two, it gives you that second. Which energy am I in? Am I breathing?
Yeah, just stop and
Because we stop breathing. That's
Yeah.
part of it.
Are you ready for the card?
I am. Actually, before that, what's going on with you? Other than, having a bad
I'm a
week.
hot mess right now. I have a little
Woohoo!
time for peace. Connect with yourself. If you haven't gotten it, go pick it up. It's a 90-day journal. You could find it on spiritualsexandcandy.com in my link section. It is in my link tree, so you can find the link there, or you can go to Amazon and get that. You can look up Heather Workman if you don't remember. A little time for peace, and that's what I have going on right now. I'm
Awesome.
reworking how I'm going to do social media and things like that. But if you want to follow me on social media, Living Oracle Wellness across the board, you will be able to find me.
Yay.
Yeah.
And
What's going on with you?
you can pick up my book. You can pick up a book too. Here you go.
Yeah.
Heather's book is really amazing though. Pick hers up. It's in if you go to Spiritual Sex and Candy, you can get it in my links. I'm leaving, so next month we're working towards the next Odyssey, which is the present of presence, which is so important for the holidays. Again, we're talking about the stress and the crazy and the how to really deal with all the things. So if you're a gay boy or questioning or bi, male identifying, let me know and we'll go from there. You can book a call actually in the links on Spiritual Sex and Candy too. So
Yay. Well, I'm not gay, and I'm not a gay male, so
you're not.
There's that.
You're not. Are you sure you're not? Identifying.
Sometimes I definitely live in the masculine energy sometimes, but no, I do not. All right, our card for today is Seeing. This is all about perspective, truth, knowledge, and clarity. Before you react to someone during this holiday season, take a step back and change your viewpoint on it. And I'm not saying your view is wrong. That's not what we're getting at. But remember that their perspective is coming through their filters of the life that they have lived. So not only show yourself kindness by taking a step back, but try to see things from other people's points of view as well and be open to that, because that allows you to just see a bigger picture and not be so narrowly focused on just yourself.
I agree. That's perfect message for today. Crown Prince of Swords. You have nothing to motherfucking prove, people.
Yeah.
That's what that says. You have nothing to prove here. Don't be reckless. Don't be the irresponsible teen. Don't blow up. Keep yourself calm and level-headed. Do what you have to do. This week is just that. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to be the strong man. You don't have to be the best cook. You don't have to be the best parent. You don't have to be the best son or daughter. You don't have to be fucking anything but you. You are amazing. You are truly amazing. So, stop it! I see you.
Quit
I know
it,
it's
quit
you.
it, quit it.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for having this time with us today, this week.
Yeah.
If you are celebrating Thanksgiving, have a very, very blessed one. Enjoy the time with your family, if you can. Or without your family, because you don't have to fucking go.
That's right.
You don't have to.
We
And
love you. Have
we
a great
love
week.
you. See you soon.
Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.